Hi there, my name is Jill Hanley, and I'm a professor of social work in the School of Social Work here at McGill University. My research is focused on access to social rights, things like health and housing and labor rights for migrants that have precarious status. And when we say precarious status, that's people that are in Canada, but they don't have an official right, a legal right to stay here permanently. And often their presence here depends on a third party, like an employer, their school, the Refugee Determination Board. And we explore the way that having this precarious status makes it tough for people to have proper health and housing and labor conditions. But we also look at what strategies do they use, either individually as families or as groups, as collectives, to defend their rights and try and push their rights further. So that's what I focus my work on. In this book, I worked with some colleagues, Martha Stiegman, Keziah Spears, and Valerie Lavigne, and we wrote an article about the situation of agricultural workers here in Quebec. So I think in Quebec we have a romantic image of the family farm. Probably we're not the only province in Canada that has this image. And the thing is that that's no longer a very realistic picture of how the agricultural sector works in Quebec. There may be families that own the farms, but they often have dozens or hundreds of employees, and they're linked into an international agribusiness sector. Unfortunately, though, the idea of the family farm gets used to excuse why we don't extend all the same rights to the agricultural workers that come mostly from Mexico and Guatemala to do the seasonal farm work here. So in our chapter, we're talking about how, first of all, it's a bit of a myth that they really work the way that we imagine family farms work. And we're reminding the reader that the workers who come from overseas to work in the agricultural sector are also part of families, and that families are actually the main motivation for most of them to come here. It's because they want to have increased income to pay for their kids' education, to deal with their parents' health care, and just to be able to improve their quality of life back at home. So here in Montreal, I think it's important for us to remember that there are agricultural farm workers that are coming on a seasonal and sometimes year-round basis, and that our economy depends on that. I think we have a responsibility to demand proper labor rights for these workers. And I think that reading this book at a time when right now there's a lot of debate about diversity in Quebec, but right across Canada, it's laying out how much of an innate part of our social system this is. I think that you should read this book because it's going to give you a lot of information to counter the social debates we've got going right now about the dangers of diversity and how we have to rein it in, when actually this book gives a lot of different examples about the way it enriches our city and our province.